A new force threatens existence and has changed everything. It wiped out time from the heroes of Earth, resetting them and leaving them less experienced, less connected with one another, and most importantly, vulnerable to attack. Only a handful of heroes would bridge the gap between the world as it is now and the world as it once was. Wally West of the original world has recently broken through to this new world, and brought with him dire warnings of this mysterious threat to everything. The original version of Superman and his family also found their way to this new world. Kal-El, Lois Lane, and their son Jonathan, though they lived in hiding for some time after the New World's version of Superman died, they have re-emerged as public figures. One other person would bridge the gap between the two different timelines, though, and his name is Mr. Oz. Jor-El was a legendary figure of science on the planet of Krypton, before its destruction. Though he had learned of his planet's impending doom, the people of his world failed to heed his warning. In the final moments of Krypton's life, Jor-El and his wife Lara were able to save their infant son by launching him into space, moments before Krypton was destroyed. Their son, Kal-El, would land on Earth and grow up into the hero known as Superman. This is Superman's story as it's been known for many years, but in the wake of Krypton's destruction, an unknown force intervened. It protected Jor-El, allowing him to witness the destruction of Krypton and the death of his wife, before this mysterious force took Superman's father to Earth. There, Jor-El came to the conclusion that humanity was only bound to get more brutal, after witnessing the atrocities mankind is capable of firsthand. His dreams of his son leading these people in a positive direction dashed, and his body and mind corrupted by the destruction of Krypton, Jor-El developed a bleak view of the world around him. He began quietly observing the heroes of Earth, especially the two versions of his son, while occasionally intervening when it suited him. He enlisted the help of the villain known as the Machinist, as well as orchestrating an attack by Doomsday and several other threats, often seemingly in an attempt to test what his son was capable of, while other times quietly working to facilitate his own plans and those of the unknown force that saved him. Calling himself Mr. Oz, he began operating out of his own private dimension in secret, outside of the rules of normal space and time. It was from here that Jor-El kidnapped Doomsday after his initial use of the villain, as well as where he kept the powerful imp known as Mr. Mixie-Spittlelick. The imp eventually broke free and caused the two versions of Superman to merge into one, to which the ever-observing Jor-El commented that this merger also happened to him. Mr. Oz also kidnapped Tim Drake after the young man began forming bonds too similar with his life before the timeline was corrupted. Tim was thought dead for months because of this, only discovered to be alive by his friends and family after he managed to escape Jor-El's imprisonment. During all this time, during Jor-El's many months operating in secret, he never let his true identity or presence be known to Superman or his family. When Superman came close to discovering him at the Fortress of Solitude, Jor-El spitefully destroyed the two statues Clark had erected of his adoptive parents. A clear sign of the view he had developed that humanity did not deserve his son. With the mysterious threat bearing down on Earth, Mr. Oz caused various disasters to unfold on the planet before revealing himself to his son and their family. Jor-El tried to use these disasters to demonstrate to Superman and his family that they were, in his eyes, wasting their time protecting and living on Earth. Warning them of the approaching danger he cannot stop, the same threat that attacked this world and what Wally West claimed was coming, Jor-El took the family to his own personal realm and tried to convince them to stay here, safe from this impending doom. Superman rejected this offer, claiming Earth was his home and he would not abandon it, in spite of humanity's faults. In response, Jor-El attacked him with kryptonite, produced out of his own body. Jor-El revealed that this kryptonite infected his body when Krypton was destroyed, and it appears the staff that he wields kept him alive and protected him from the substance's deadly effect on Kryptonians. However, the staff also seemed to be corrupting his mind. Pointing out that no father would protect their son by attacking him, Superman snapped the spear in half, and for a moment, Jor-El was returned to his senses. Kal-El's father immediately apologized and embraced his son, imploring Superman to fight for his family, before being pulled away by the same force that saved him on Krypton all those years ago. The unknown force returned Superman to Earth, and Kal-El felt disheartened by the experience, but promises John they will find the boy's grandfather. Having learned what happened to Jor-El, Superman can't help but wonder if he would have lost faith on Earth if Clark had gone through what his father did when Superman arrived here. As Kal-El listens to the world around him, he can tell people are losing hope. So it's time for him to get back to work. So that's pretty much what we know about this character in the era of Rebirth. I just wanted to do a quick overview of everything we've learned, especially out of the content that recently came out of Action Comics. It was a really cool story, and I do recommend you check it out for yourself. And pretty much that's about it. We'll get to know the rest as part of the upcoming event Doomsday. That should be coming out near the end. Well, really soon actually, now that I think about it. I'm pretty excited for it. Over the last year and a half or so, DC has really earned my faith through the comics they've put out in Rebirth, especially concerning this larger meta-narrative stuff they've done. They did something really neat through characters like Jor-El, where we get little tidbits of what's coming in Doomsday without it giving away the whole game, but they've been consistently building it up since the start of Rebirth. And when I was doing research for Jor-El, as I found out, even stuff from before this time. That's very cool, and it was interesting to see overall how this progression has happened. I'm not entirely sure what Jor-El's motivations were throughout all of this. It's pretty clear the staff corrupted him and his mind wasn't in a good place, which explains a lot of his more aggressive behavior. But even when he was corrupted by the staff, he did care about his son. That was evident throughout those comics. So there's a lot of interesting implications for what that means exactly. I am still not sure what to make of it. It's interesting. I'll give DC that. No matter how you frame this, it's very cool. Because it is possible whatever force that brought Jor-El from Krypton, Dr. Manhattan, very clearly is aware of what happened to the world of Rebirth and New 52, but I'm not necessarily sure they were the cause of it. That link hasn't been explicitly made yet. And the reason I'm not sure is Dr. Manhattan doesn't seem like the character who would want to attack the world of Rebirth and DC in general. The way that he left his character at the end of Watchmen was very ambivalent. So I could see and understand the idea of him kind of passively trying to save the world that, by the way, he was implied to create. The idea is that Dr. Manhattan, at the end of the story of Watchmen, says like, oh, I want to go create life of my own. And the implication that's been going around within the fan community, and even in little bits of Rebirth, is that Dr. Manhattan went around and created the world of DC. So my thinking throughout Rebirth is that Dr. Manhattan is trying to quietly put together something to face whatever force is attacking the world of DC's universe, something whose power actually rivals his own. The alternative being that Jor-El works for Dr. Manhattan and Dr. Manhattan is planning on destroying his own creation. I just find that a little lacking in the narrative. It doesn't really fit Dr. Manhattan's character. I just don't see him caring that much. Him kind of loosely caring, bringing Jor-El back, but Jor-El not being totally sane and therefore kind of screwing up whatever Dr. Manhattan had planned for the character makes a little more sense to me. And same thing with him not really being fully involved, just kind of lazily like pulling him out of the story when it was no longer convenient for Dr. Manhattan. So I don't know, I'm just kind of speculating and exploring my own thoughts on the matter with this. I'm not entirely sure what they're getting at. I just have a hard time believing Dr. Manhattan's the real villain here. I could be wrong, and we'll find out within the Doomsday event. So keep an eye out for that in your local comic book store. I have a feeling it won't be sticking around for very long. It's going to be selling very quickly, so definitely, be aware of that. And we'll definitely be covering that stuff here on Comic Island, so stay tuned for that. Otherwise, thanks for watching. If you'd like to support Comic Island, you can check out our Patreon page. You can find the link for that in the video below. Patreon's a great way to support us, and for only $1 a month, you get a say in the videos we make, which is pretty cool. Otherwise, thanks for watching, and don't forget to like, subscribe, and keep reading comics.